You're tuned in to the Dakota Housing Network on Supertalk 1270 and supertalk1270.com. In-depth discussion and analysis of real estate issues nationwide and those issues unique to our area. Our team of experts includes Joe Sheehan, Greg Larson, Dave Floor, Brian Ritter, and a great variety of guests. The Dakota Housing Network begins now on Supertalk 1270 and supertalk1270.com.
All right, the Dakota Housing Network. Dave Floor, Mr. Housing here with Jim Walsh on the board.
Hi.
And Joe Sheehan is not here today.
He may call in.
He might call in, so we'll see.
I understand he's teaching?
He's teaching realtors this morning, I believe, in Dickinson.
Okay.
So, and Joe has all kinds of knowledge to impart upon them and that, so I'm sure.
I would imagine he would.
Yeah, he does. He does an excellent job. So anyway, how you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of enjoying the rain.
All right.
I'm a rain person.
Yeah.
I like rainy days.
Well, definitely, we need it. So
yeah, we do.
We're
doesn't
good.
bother me a bit.
Doesn't bother me either. I'm happy to see it. I don't have to turn my sprinkler on or anything.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. Well, as usual on the Dakota Housing Network, first up is interest rates, Jim. What did they do?
I'm interested.
What did you think? What did they do? What's your feeling? What's your gut tell you?
Let's see. Interest of the last week. My gut tells me it might have gone up a little bit.
Oh, very good. You've got your finger on the pulse of the mortgage market.
All right, my finger is in the wind.
And he's a radio guy. Go figure.
Things.
Well, that tells you how difficult our job is, really, because the radio guy has got his pulse on it and got it right. 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 3.85% this last week. That was up from last week when it averaged 3.8%. So up 5 basis points. Now, I will say, this is, as we always say, this is from the Freddie Mac Mortgage Market Survey, and it's a little bit behind in time because they survey the lenders on like Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
And on Tuesday and Wednesday, rates kind of went up a little bit more. So it's pretty close to this, though.
Yeah.
Last year, the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 4.2%. The 15-year mortgage averaged 3.07%, up from last week when it averaged 3.02%. And a year ago, it was at 3.29%. So rates are really, as they have been for a long time, they're just kind of trading within a certain range. There's not a lot of, it seems like big swings maybe, but they're really not. Now our guidance this morning from our friend Barry Habib at the MBS Highway. Yesterday the market kind of went a little schizoid though, Jim. Oh? Yeah. The mortgage bond yesterday began the day to the upside after a weak retail sales report that we didn't spend as much money. We apparently didn't save as much money on gas as the economists and whatnot thought we were going to, so we didn't go out and buy a boat.
Well, the gas is coming back up a little bit.
Yeah, so gas was cheaper, but we didn't go buy boats, apparently. Right. So that kind of took a little bloom off the rose, so to speak. But then there was a 10-year Treasury bond auction that they thought if that goes well, then that should be good for mortgage rates. There'd be a lot of demand. Yeah. And it got an A+. Now, typically that would mean that then you would see a lot of demand for bonds, so then that would push the yields down and the prices up, and that would translate into lower mortgage rates, okay? Well, that didn't happen. The market said, poo on that. We don't care about that A+ auction.
Yeah.
And as Barry says here, bonds stubbornly resumed their downward trend, forcing us to issue a lock alert yesterday. So, and today, going into today, they are recommending floating, and really bonds are trading, as Barry says here, in the middle of a wide range. They have been unable to break back above the 200-day moving average the last 2 days and are susceptible to a whipsaw with no support level nearby. So it's basically going to go. Rates are kind of going to fluctuate a little bit within that range that we just talked about, 385 to 380. No big changes there. Let's see what else we got. You want some fun facts from our friend Elliott Berg this morning?
I'm always in for fun facts.
From Elliott, yeah.
More fun the better.
Yeah. Well, this is good. Long life. This is important for housing. We're probably going to need houses longer than we may have needed them 100 years ago.
Well, I would think so. The life expectancy.
Yes. Well, here Elliott is talking about this morning. From Elliott Berg, the Bowtie Economist from graphsandlaughs.net, and Econ70, he does this daily blog. Long life. Of every 100,000 persons born in 1900, 13 of them made it to age 100. Okay? That same statistic is projected to be 199 for those born in 1950. Okay, they're getting closer to our age here, Jim.
Yeah.
And 1,968 for those born in 2010. Similarly, in 1900, 25% of all persons died before age 20. Wow. Well, 25% of people died before age 20 in 1900.
I understand it, infant mortality and all that kind of thing because of the health issues and everything else. I turn 60 next year. I can remember in my lifetime a time when you hit 60 and it was time to start getting your affairs in order.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully that won't happen to me. I'm knocking wood here.
No, you're looking vigorously. You're looking fine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, you never know, but you're looking good.
Yeah.
By 1950, that percentage declined to 5.3%. Big change in 50 years.
Medicine,
and by 2010, 60 years later, it was just 1.5% of people died before age 20. And that was due mostly to accidents, drugs, and guns. Live long and prosper.
Yes. And the horseshoe came in on. No.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
so, you and I, our age group, then we should be living to. We got a decent chance to make it to 100.
Yeah. Now my question is, will the quality of life be there?
That's the question.
Or are we going to turn out? And don't think I'm making a joke here.
Yeah. Okay.
But a lot of folks are living longer, but they're dealing with things like Alzheimer's, and cancer and whatnot.
Yeah, that's kind of become the issue.
We have to think about. Yeah.
Medically, we've advanced so much, and cured a lot of diseases, or gotten rid of well, we had measles outbreak, but really polio, measles, etc. All that stuff has kind of declined so much. So we are living longer, but then the medical issues do crop up because we get older. Things don't work as well. I mean, it's like having 200,000 miles on your car.
Yeah,
it's not going to work as good as when you bought it brand new.
Well, just a couple of hundred years ago, think of it this way: baldness was not an issue for most people because most people died before they had a chance to lose their hair.
There you go. Yeah,
and here we are, you and me both.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd take.
I got my comb over going. You have more courage than I do in that regard.
I just shave it off.
Yeah, you just roll with it.
Yeah, I go with it. But that's a good point. And then we have Rogaine.
Yes,
right, and,
that's right.
And whatever other products. I don't worry about that. So,
well, did you hear about Cuba? Supposedly, somebody in Cuba developed a vaccine for lung cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're just now finding out about it because of the embargo all these years. Now, I don't know. I remain, with these kind of deals, I remain skeptical yet hopeful.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That would be one of those things to research more in depth.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, we'll look into that one.
Well, so really that, we're going to need different type of housing as people live longer, different type of housing, more of it to accommodate all of us that are getting older. It'll be very interesting. All right, well, we hit our first break already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flying by.
A little ZZ Top to go out on.
Sure got cold after the rainfall.
Yeah.
Right now, 46.
Our own radio station. Not Fargo, not the Twin Cities. Proud to be Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Rainy day songs.
Yes, that's our theme. Feels like rain, Jim.
And indeed it does.
Mr. John Hyatt, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. He was in Bismarck about 2 or 3 years ago.
Incredible songwriter. Amazing.
Excellent. Yep. Feels like rain, folks, on the Dakota Housing Network. Dave Floor, Jim Walsh. Jim?
Yeah.
Would you like to be a whale?
A whale?
A whale. I wouldn't want to be a whale.
Or would you rather be a whale?
Would you like to know why I don't want to be a whale?
Why don't you want to be a whale?
This is also from our friend Elliott
Okay.
Berg. Worried Whales is the title of this one. While the world population of barnyard animals continually grows, people like their goats and their, what else? Goats, pigs, etc., right?
Right.
the population of whales dwindles. The reason? Property rights. Most goats, cows, and pigs belong to someone with a strong incentive to protect them. Okay, makes sense. However, whales are owned by no one. And thus each whaling nation, primarily Norway and Japan, has a strong incentive to kill every whale it sees lest the other nation kill it first.
Oh.
So the whales need to, I think, unionize and get and have somebody buy them, and then they'll be protected, right?
We are organized. We are the whales.
We need to organize
Save us.
so they can have a nice place to live in the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's see, Jim. I have talked about in the past year. I think last week we were talking about rental business and home ownership and the decline in the home ownership rate in that. And this is another little number to support that. The number of households in the USA has increased by 1.48 million in the last 12 months. And that's where people are virtually moving out of their parents' basement, or people not living, they're not, households aren't together, they're splitting up and creating a new household, okay? So that's increased in the last 12 months. That is a combination of 1.87 million new renters and a reduction of 390,000 homeowners. So we've lost 390,000 homeowners in the last 12 months, but gained 1.87 million new renters.
So are we ahead of the game or what?
Well, you can look at it. Yeah,
or more good than bad, or
you could look at it either way. Depends your perspective. Now, it's putting a lot of pressure on the rental market.
I would imagine.
And we're certainly an example of that in North Dakota. There's more people moving here. They're probably not necessarily weren't looking to buy homes in the past. That put pressure on the rental market, and of course that drives the cost of rent up. And that's really occurring across the country, and you can see why. 1.87 million new renters in the last 12 months. That's going to put a little kibosh or kink in the current rental market, and more places need to be built. So, so that it's causing problems not just here in North Dakota, but really across the country. This the rental market is definitely having its issues. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is a little tidbit about the tax code. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Paul Ryan from Wisconsin. We've heard of Paul Ryan, right?
Yeah, he ran with what's his name last time around?
Mr. Romney.
Right.
Yes. Well, Mr. Ryan is a supporter of a flat tax. Now, this is an interesting number, I thought, and this certainly goes to reform of the tax code, which we talked about last week with Nancy Willis and Greg Larson from the Realtors. That the mortgage interest deduction is on the table all the time when they start talking about tax reform code and that. And Mr. Ryan, supports a flat tax. Okay, so that means we'd have a flat tax. Basically, you might not need the IRS, or the IRS could be a very simplified organization. We'd all pay a flat tax on our income, and we do away with probably all the deductions, right?
I would think.
Okay. So Paul Ryan's flat tax of 13.1% on the nation's $9 trillion of adjusted gross income from tax year 2012. This is just for individuals, not corporations. That flat tax rate on the same amount of adjusted gross income would have produced the same amount of federal income tax as was actually collected under our current system. So, this is just a quick blurb, so you don't know what else is behind this.
So we're breaking even, in other words.
But we'd be breaking even by simplifying the tax code, according to Mr. Ryan here from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And he's somebody you got to listen to. He's the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Whether I don't know if he's going to run for president again or not. Is he on the list?
There was talk about it.
I don't know.
He's kind of on the fringes right now.
Yeah,
he's certainly not getting the headlines that some of these other guys are getting, like Cruz and some of the others.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's actually thrown his hat in the ring or not.
Yeah, well, it's early too.
Yeah. So anyway, that's an interesting number. I mean, we could do away with, the accountants wouldn't like it, but
it could work the other way too. I mean, people could say, well, if we're not going to really do that much better, why bother to change the system we have?
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, I mean, why, except that it would be easier to file your taxes, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I like that idea very much.
But then,
I love that idea.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Of course, now there's a lot of people that, file taxes for you and professional preparers and that.
Yeah, they stand to lose their gigs.
So, you take something away, there's always somebody that's going to be a loser.
Oh, yeah. The buggy whip salesmen are going to be out of business.
Yeah. All right. Jim, you've heard us talk about student loans.
Oh, yeah.
And the effect that the amount of student loan debt has on people buying a house, right?
A subject very relevant to me, I'll tell you.
It's relevant to you. You're going to school. You're finishing your master's, so you've gone through all this, and and so Joe and I have talked about this on the show before. How that's going to be a detriment going forward as we have all these people. With these large student loans, and they aren't going to be able to pay that plus buy a house. Okay, and there's some people that actually agreed with us. Going back to this is from a speech he gave in May of 2014. The director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Richard Cordray, said that crushing student loan debt is significantly denting the drive to buy homes in young Americans. So he's agreeing with us here on Dakota Housing Network. Now, he had a little different take. He's saying, he also noted a National Association of Realtors survey that said 49% of Americans cited student loan debt as a huge obstacle to home ownership. And the CFPB intends to do something about it. This was last year, okay? They consider the major problem is the behavior of student loan servicers who don't let people prepay their student loans, et cetera. So he's going at it from the regulator standpoint that we're going to try and fix the payment system on student loans, and that would help. Okay,
broken system.
So that's his thing. Okay. Now, we're talking about people running for president. Mike Huckabee.
Yeah.
From where is he from?
He was the governor of Arkansas after Bill.
Yeah, and now he's a famous Fox prognosticator show guy on Fox News.
Yeah.
But former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee just announced his campaign earlier this month, and here's what he said about student loan debt. One in four American families are paying more than half their income for housing. Home ownership is at the lowest level in decades, and young people with heavy student loan debt aren't likely to afford their first home for quite a while. Okay, so a presidential candidate is agreeing with the Dakota Housing Network.
Okay.
The head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is agreeing with the Dakota Housing Network. Okay. All right.
What about the Democrats?
I think, I don't know. I don't have anything. Well, Cordray would be a Democrat because he was appointed by President Obama.
Right.
Okay. Well, hold the horses, Jim. Because
hold the wedding.
I think these people, if they were actually listening to us and they agree with us, they should have taken that with a grain of salt and realized who they were actually agreeing with. Meaning me.
Uh-oh.
There's now a report out that just came out this week from the TransUnion, which is one of the credit deposit repositories.
I am very familiar with them,
They keep track of your credit scores.
That's right.
Okay. A new report from TransUnion shows that not only are younger consumers with student debt able to get a mortgage, they are also quite adept at making their payments as well. The study showed that in only 3 to 6 years, the student loan consumers in their 20s have been observed to pass similarly aged consumers without a student loan and overall loan participation rates on mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards. So TransUnion, they did a survey of everybody that they keep track of through their credit reports, and they're saying there's really not a problem with student loan debt. Once they get out of school and they got a job, and theoretically, if you went to college, you should be able to earn more money going forward because you've improved your skills.
Well, that's the idea, yeah.
And, so they're saying that really once those people get out of school and they're done with their college, they then are able to, within 3 to 6 years, they kind of catch up.
Right.
And now they've made a good dent in their student loans, and they can now afford to buy a car, they can buy a house, et cetera. They're not having problems getting mortgages. Okay?
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work. You're saying it's working the way everybody wants it to.
TransUnion says it's working. So
more than not, yeah.
So Huckabee and Cordray and whoever else listened to me should have just not said anything.
Yeah.
Because this report says, hey, it's not a problem. So chances are the truth is somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, of course, the guys running for president, they're going to tell you how screwed up things are.
Everything bad.
They want you to put them in there and fix it.
Yeah, what else did Mr. Huckabee say? Who knows what he said here.
It's like these guys talking about the thing in Texas, the Civil War breaking out in Texas, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what is that about?
Apparently, the military, the Pentagon, is doing some political, or rather military maneuvers.
Oh, okay.
In the Southwest.
Okay.
And somebody picked up on this and said, they're getting ready to invade Texas.
Oh, boy.
But the problem is the governor of Texas is buying into this. And he's telling people, we've got to be ready when the president invades Texas. Well, here's the thing. Texas is already a part of this country.
Yeah.
That issue was resolved in about 1865, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, their Lincoln fella, he had some say in the issue.
Yeah, okay.
And Texas is part of the United States of America. It already has a whole bunch of military bases in the state.
Yeah.
So what? What's the deal?
Well,
come on.
We want their oil?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, no, they're already part of the country.
Does that mean they're coming after us next?
They might be.
They'd be heading north, yeah.
Okay, well, okay. Is that still Rick Perry? Is he still the governor?
No, this guy Abbott.
Abbott, okay.
Yeah. In fact, Rick Perry is one of the guys who kind of debunked the whole thing. He said, Rick Perry saying, hey, what's this about? This is silly. You're being ridiculous.
Okay, we're going to invade Texas to make sure they stay here.
I guess.
That they stay put.
I guess. Okay. I don't know.
All right, well, we'll be back and we'll see what the heck else we're going to talk about, I guess. Little Beatles, Rain.
Yeah.
Right now, 46.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
This is so great. This is from the golden era of Top 40 radio.
The Fortunes.
The Fortunes, yes.
Jim, you are mining the vaults.
Yeah, my old Top 40 days, bringing back some memories here.
Here comes that. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, it is. All right.
And I think the rain abated? It looks like it might have in some areas, but it's coming back. We're going to get more.
I think it was supposed to be done by noon.
Yeah, but we're going to get more over the weekend. Yeah. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Dakota Housing Network, Dave Floor, Jim Walsh this morning. Jim, you know what happened to this day in 1878?
1878. This day in history.
There was a trademark issued to a Brooklyn kerosene dealer for an amazing product that would find wide use in America's homes and hospitals for the next 137 years.
Oh, I was going to say like a kerosene lamp or a lantern that you would go camping with.
Let's find out what it was.
Yeah, yeah, let's.
Like most wonder products in America, this was sort of discovered by accident. This product, the kerosene dealer started out looking to replace his falling sales. He went to the source of a new, cheaper alternative, the then fabulous oil strike near Titusville, Pennsylvania. Yeah. He was looking around the fields for a supplier, and he was surprised by the number of complaints about a waxy gunk that stuck to drills and other equipment. The only good use of this waste product seemed to have was that it hastened the healing of workers' cuts and burns. You getting any closer to an idea here?
You want me to make a guess? I know what it is.
Okay.
Don't go ahead.
We'll see if you got it right.
I think I know what it is.
Okay, the merchant, who was also a chemist, took samples of the wacky substance home to Brooklyn. He played with it, refined it, cut and burned himself time after time to test the wonder claims. Okay. Now, that's dedication right there.
Yeah, or you're a total schmuck.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, when it was over, he produced a jelly of petroleum. The kerosene dealer's name was Robert Cheeseborough, and the product he trademarked was called
Vaseline.
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 He believed in it in so much that he swallowed a teaspoonful of it every day until he finally died in his late 90s.
Yeah.
The guy ate it.
And I'm sure it went right through him like grease through a goose.
Have you ever ate Vaseline?
No.
I guess I put it on my lips. That's as close as I've gotten. Maybe.
I've tasted some weird stuff in my life, but never Vaseline.
This guy was dedicated because, he burned and cut himself to test it, and then he eats it.
I got some root beer up my nose once, but that was an accident.
No, that's the thing we can't test is he lived to be in his late 90s.
Well, yeah, but there's not necessarily a correlation. He just might have been really, really lucky. Well, it doesn't mean that the one caused the other.
Okay, so now 1878. So we just talked about this. 1900.
Right.
There was just a couple people that would live to be 100 if you were
Yeah.
born in 1900. So
Sure.
this guy really was an outlier for his time as far as how long he lived. What we can't test is, did the Vaseline help him live to his late 90s, or would he have done it anyway?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's too bad. It would be great if we could.
I mean,
if
they
that
could
have been
probably
tested,
do
but-
some tests like that nowadays.
Yeah, but I don't know.
With the modern statistical analysis computer software stuff
Anyway,
we have.
But it is in every home in the country, I think, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Vaseline. Yeah. Okay, we were on the break. We were talking about the oil show that's going to be on ABC this
Oil.
fall.
It's called Oil.
It's called Oil.
With
And
Don
you
Johnson.
you have the trailer on the KLXX 1270 website.
Supertalk1270.com. Yes, it's in our, you go right to the webpage and have
Yep.
that little marquee thing
Yeah.
that shows you the top stories or some of the top stories. And we have it up there for the
It's up
time
there.
being.
So if you haven't seen this, you should go look at it. Now, supposedly, this is supposed to take place in the Bakken, this TV show. It stars Don Johnson from
Right,
Miami
Don
Vice.
Johnson, yeah.
He got rid of his...
I don't recall him ever spending any time here in the last year or so.
No.
He may have been, but if so, you would think somebody would call up and say, hey, these Hollywood guys are in town.
Yeah, it's Don Johnson.
Yeah, Miami Vice guys here.
The Miami Vice guy. So anyway,
I hope he brought socks. It does get cold here.
I hope he did if he was here.
Yeah.
But now supposedly it says this happens in the Bakken. Now I don't know if they specifically reference North Dakota. And the trailer does not say anything. This is in North Dakota or anything.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be in the Bakken. And it was actually the show is filmed in Utah. Okay. And if it is in North Dakota, if it's supposed to be in North Dakota, we grew mountains just for this show because there are mountains in the background as you watch this trailer. So I really hope it's not supposed to be based in North Dakota because the producers then made a big mistake.
Well, that's pretty common. I see a lot of movies where they're supposedly in some city, and I've been to that city, and it looks absolutely nothing like the real-life city I've been to.
Yeah. So anyway, but go to the Supertalk 1270 website and check out the trailer
Yeah.
for Oil.
Oil this
starring
fall.
Don Johnson.
They even have a guy doing the old announcer, the movie guy, in a world with oil or whatever.
They do. They do have that guy on
In
there.
a world.
But it is. But
Where
they
people say, in a world.
But they show the people living in the trailers and stuff. So I mean,
that's
they
real,
kind of
sure.
captured what the feel
The
was.
man
I guess.
camp.
The man camp thing. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see the show. I think.
That sounds so sexually ambiguous, doesn't it? Man camps. I'm just saying. Just
Okay,
saying.
Jim.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
They should. There were plenty of women working in the oil fields.
Well, they should be person camps.
It should be person camps.
Yeah.
Or people camps. Yes. Okay. Jim, the big thing this year is the Fed going to raise the interest rates? Are they going to raise their overnight fund rates to bank? Is it coming in June? Is it coming in September? Is it going to come at all this year? That's the big thing.
Well, they walk that fine line. They don't want to inflate the economy too much.
We'll get back to a little housing stuff here, maybe.
Housing, sure.
Instead of oil. Oil. How do you say that? Oil.
It's
right?
Earl. It's an Earl well.
Earl?
It's a geezer.
It's an Earl well. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, this article comes from CNBC. Talks about, has the Fed painted itself into a corner with what they've done? Okay. Economy added 223,000 jobs in April, is well below the 260 that was averaged during 2014. So it's put a little cold water on whether or not economic growth is really occurring and whether the Fed can afford to raise interest rates. Unemployment has been dropping, but that's as much people not dropping out of the workforce, not saying, hey, I can't find a job, I'm just going to retire and get my Social Security, et cetera, whatever. Okay. No, the article goes on to say the Federal Reserve would like to raise interest rates because prolonged periods of rock bottom rates impose distortions on the deployment of capital in the economy. Yeah. An example of that is savers and investors, because we're getting, if you put your money in a savings account in a bank, you're getting paid like 0.1% for interest. Okay, so virtually zero. Okay. Yeah. So you're driven to find riskier products to generate returns, and it kind of
higher returns.
You're going to, people are driven to risky junk bonds, and it's really driven up the stock market because people are okay. I got to do better on my money here, so I'm going to invest in the stock market. So it's driven
Remember the penny
stock
stock craze a few years ago. It's kind of like that, probably.
It's driven the market up. So it's hard for the Fed to raise interest rates, because then that's going to affect the stock prices, et cetera. It's going to have that effect on the stock market.
Yeah.
Push up the dollar. The dollar is going to strengthen. Again, it's been weakening a little bit now, and if it strengthens, then that hurts our companies here when they're selling their products overseas. Okay. No, what they're saying is they figure if the Fed doesn't make any change in their interest rate policy, the economy is likely to grow about 2.3 to 2.7% for the balance of the year, and that won't be enough to raise job creation to last year's levels.
Okay.
So really, it's just kind of a steady, wishy-washy recovery, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a theory holds that slower jobs creation is inevitable because so many adults have left the labor force and are permanently out. Okay.
And you mean retired, or
they're retired, or they're just, hey, I'm going to live on food stamps now because I don't have the skills for the jobs that are out there. You got, say
that's
you did
a sad statement, isn't it?
Say
sad
you did a job
commentary.
for a period of time, and it was a very specific type of work, and you don't have any other training, and that job's gone.
Your job was making left-handed monkey wrenches.
Yeah.
Then you wake up one morning and, the world is out of left-handed monkeys.
Yeah, we all converted to right-handed monkey wrenches. And, so people have just left the labor force. They're receiving subsidies for health care, food stamps, and other government benefits.
Damn.
And those things phase out as family income rises.
Or they kick in with their Social Security and they take it early or whatever.
And they say, hey, I'm 62, I can take my Social Security. And, okay, so
I'm out of here.
I'm not going to push myself to get a job, all right? So that's creating a problem for the Fed. And there's a lot of things that probably Congress should be doing to reform. They talked about exchange rate reform and entitlement reform, Social Security, et cetera. They should be reforming these things.
Well, nobody wants to touch Social Security. And again, we're kind of getting out on a limb here.
Yeah.
It's one of those sacred cows that people just don't want to touch it. They don't want to even acknowledge that there might be a problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem. The problem is they don't want to admit there's a problem.
Yeah. And what a lot of people are now arguing is that, all the quantitative easing, the QE 1, 2, 3, 4,
right.
That we've talked about on this show a lot. And what that's done is, we're now in this thing where there's income inequality.
Yeah.
That's QE really what it's done is just created wealth for the top 1% more than anything else.
Well, the other thing, too, I think
it's
the old, like with the old pyramid schemes, there's always one guy who gets left holding the bag.
Yeah.
Eventually eventually you can't find another greater fool.
Exactly.
And that's kind of something similar happens with the entitlement program, Social Security in particular. Everybody says, well, a lot of people say don't touch it. A lot of other people, more people say, well, yeah, we should do something about it, but I don't want to be the guy left holding your bag, not getting my money that I put into this.
Yeah.
So, and that's very reasonable. That's very fair
Yeah, so they're talking about income inequality, but then we get a report saying that, from TransUnion that says, well, the millennials are getting out of college and they're obviously finding work.
Yeah.
And they're able to buy homes and cars and whatnot. Yeah. So, there's extremes, I guess, and
sure.
We find a middle here. Anyway, our final segment coming up, and I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but we got Led Zeppelin, the Rain Song.
Right now, 46.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 2, only on Super Talk 1270.
Well, we had to come back one last time with one last rain song, maybe the best rain song ever, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
We'll stop there. John Fogerty coming to Bismarck in August. Get your tickets. All right, Dave Floor, Jim Walsh on the Dakota Housing Network this morning. If you have a question, 663-1270. Next week, Brian Ritter from the Bismarck Man and Development Association will be hosting, or that's the plan. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay, all right. But Brian will be here next week, I hope. That's his schedule. I don't know if he has a guest or not, or if he'll just be opining on his own.
He'll be weighing in.
Yes. Okay. Jim, the CFPB, we just talked about them and their director, Richard Cordray. They're suing somebody this week. They're suing Nationwide Biweekly for deceptive mortgage practices.
Nationwide Biweekly. It sounds like a magazine.
Nationwide and Loan Payment Administration.
Okay.
Okay.
Or an insurance company.
Yes, it does sound
Nationwide
like
is apparently not on your side.
It is not, in this case. It is not the insurance company.
Okay.
But actually, this is something that people should be aware of.
Okay.
If you get a flyer in the mail or something that says, "Hey, sign up for this program." Okay, here's what they're doing. Nationwide Loan Payment Administration, CFPB says they're falsely promising consumers that they can achieve savings without increasing their payments, falsely promise immediate savings that actually took years to achieve, et cetera. Okay, what they're doing is they would set up a biweekly mortgage payment program for people. So you got your mortgage with them.
Okay,
and they're administering the payments for the lender, the servicer. Okay, so what they're doing is they'll say, okay, well, you can set this up and you'll make biweekly payments. So instead of making 12 monthly payments, you're going to make 26 biweekly payments.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're actually going to be making one extra loan payment each year.
Yeah, because every 2 weeks is not the same as twice a month.
Right. You're paying. Yeah. You're going to pay this. And in essence, you're going to pay your loan off quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get to there's going to be 2 payments out of the year that you're actually going to be paying extra solely to principal. Right. And that will reduce the amount of interest you have to pay over the life of your loan, so you will pay off your loan quicker. Okay. In theory, practice, that works. That's not the hoax or
like
anything.
So many things in life, it looks great on paper.
Okay, but now what these guys were doing, Nationwide would just charge consumers, and again, folks, this is not the insurance company. This is a different company. Okay,
not Nationwide is on your side.
Not Nationwide is on your side. Nationwide charges consumer a setup fee that can be up to $995. It's a percentage of your loan payment, okay? So a setup fee up to $995 to enroll in the program, and then it charges consumers between $84 and $101 in payment processing fees each year they remain enrolled in the program. Okay, so what the CFPB is saying, by charging these fees, the person's not achieving the savings right away. They have to stay enrolled in the program long enough to counteract the amount of those fees.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I would say that there still is a benefit to doing this for people. And whether you want to pay a company to do it for you and pay these fees, because then it's set up and it automatically comes out and I do it and they do it for me. Is that worth that amount of fees to you or not? I can't answer that question. Okay, but the company's making the offer to you. And I'm sure that people got, the documents and there was disclaimers in there showing them, here's the fees, et cetera. Okay, so really it's up to the consumer to decide if that's what I want or not, right? Mm-hmm. You would agree with that. Okay. Now, folks, if you want to do something like this, you can do it with any mortgage you want. You don't have to pay anybody to do it for you. You don't have to ask your mortgage company to do it for you. You can just simply save the money yourself.
Yeah.
Treat it like you set aside each money every month. Pay extra each month to your principal if you want to.
Sure.
Or wait till the end of the year and you've saved enough to make that one extra mortgage payment. Say your mortgage payment was your principal was your principal and interest payment was $500 a month. Okay, so you save that amount over the year and you make one payment at the end of the year, extra principal, $500, and you accomplish the same thing and not paid a dime for it.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. But if a company's going to offer this to you and you think that, boy, they're going to do this automatically and keep me on the straight and narrow, so I do this so I don't spend that money on something else, that's worth it to me to pay those fees. I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with that. You have to take responsibility for what you sign on for yourself.
Yeah, the idea that they're going to hold you to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if the government should be suing a company that offers that. They're providing a service just like any other business does, right?
Is it possible they're playing fast and loose with the money?
I don't know. They don't have anything in here about details.
We don't know. Yeah,
we don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's more to this. That's the thing. I would hope there's more to it. That the documentation they provided to people wasn't adequate. It wasn't fully disclosing the fees, et cetera. So there is something, the company is really doing something wrong. Now, of course, the company's denying that they've done anything wrong.
And we don't know that they have. Yeah, we're not saying they have. We don't know.
But it's like they're offering a service just like, this radio station offers the opportunity for a business to come in and advertise on your station, and you tell them, hey, we'll let you advertise this many spots for this amount of dollars, and that business has to decide, is that worth it to me or not?
Oh, yeah, it's economy of scale. I mean, the bigger bulk of commercials you buy, the less you're going to pay per commercial.
Yeah, so I don't know. To me, this kind of seems a little bit like, as long as they weren't doing anything really nasty, like you said, playing fast and loose with the money or whatever.
Cooking the books or whatever.
I don't know if there's anything really wrong with this, and I don't know if the government should be suing a legitimate business over it. So,
well, there are, and again, we don't know in this case, but there are a lot of seedy companies out there who do this kind of stuff, and they're the kind of people you really shouldn't trust as far as you could throw them.
Yeah, and that's why I say on something like this, you're getting that offer is, hey, that's a good idea. I'll do it myself because I can. I don't need this company to do that for me.
Yeah.
All I got to do is have the willpower to save that money over the year, and I make the payment myself when I get to the end of the year.
I would think any reasonably college-educated adult would be able to postpone their gratification long enough to pull this off.
Yes, and the people that we just talked about that have the student loan debt that are going to be buying a house, I think they should be smart enough to, like you just said, accomplish that on their own. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the other thing, Jim, finish this up, I guess. We're always doomed to repeat ourselves and repeat history. And
those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Repeat it. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I knew you would have the correct thing. Well, there's talk now about that there's a mortgage and housing bubble, that home prices in like California have gone through the roof, and we've got that issue here in North Dakota with house prices and rental prices up. Okay. So, and everybody's focused on, there was this big deal, back in 2007, 2008, 2009, we had the problem, and,
which is really not that long ago.
Now are we redoing this? There was the tech and housing bubble back in 2000. Well, there was another one back in the 1980s, the savings and loan crisis.
Yeah, I remember. I was, struggling to make a living back then.
Yeah, back then there was a $150 billion taxpayer bailout back in the 80s that the bonds were sold to finance that bailout. We're still paying on those, and we'll be paying on them for another 15 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 82, 83 was the first Reagan term.
Yep, exactly.
When it all came together.
There were 1,332 thrift institutions failed between 1982 and 1992. Same period, 1,400 U.S. commercial banks failed. So that's a total of 2,800 financial institution failures, or an average of 255 failures per year. Pretty tough times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's in the 80s. Well, how well is that remembered? You were in college here recently? You took classes. Did they talk anything about anything like that in business or?
They did, but it's really hard to get an 18-year-old college student to relate to that when they weren't even born then.
But now you and I were alive and well and working.
We were,
back then. I mean, I was just starting.
I was working at a radio station in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Talk about a tough economic situation.
No, I was just starting my work life after college in the mid-'80s. Okay.
Yeah. Remember that Billy Joel song? I lived
Allentown.
it. I lived it.
Yeah, I read. That's an excellent song.
Yeah.
So, back then, the people that were working, they're not working anymore.
Yeah.
The people that went through
retired
that,
or died.
They either died or retired. They're not working in it.
Yeah.
And the people that are working in the industry now don't have any recollection of that. And if that's not something that's taught well in college, then people are doomed to repeat history. And is that what is happening today is the question. It'll be an interesting thing. And I think, we have to remember that history is very important.
Well, another quote from, I think it was H.L. Mencken, who said, every time history repeats itself, the price goes up.
Yeah, well, and I would say the price would probably go up if we had a similar failure rate, because the 2007, 2008, and through now, what we've experienced as far as bank failures really can't compare to what happened back then.
Right.
Over 2,000 banks failed back in the 80s. So anyway, that's it for this week on the Dakota Housing Network. Dave Floor, glad you could join us. Jim, thanks.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Next week, Brian Ritter should be here. And then after that, Joe and I will be on. And I think we're going to have a guest in 2 weeks, Jennifer Henderson from the North Dakota Housing Agency, where
Excellent.
I work, my co-worker. We're going to talk about the Housing Incentive Fund.
All right.
All right.
Enjoy the rain.
Yes.